Hey, Dr. Mike here. So if you want to live forever-ish, you have to know what's in and what's not. Stay tuned to find out.
You're listening to Live Foreverish, a show dedicated to helping you live just a little longer. Here's your hosts, Dr. Mike and Dr. Crystal Gossard.
All right, welcome to Live Forever-ish. This is the In and Out Show. This is where we talk about things to do and things not to do when you want to live forever-ish, right?
Yes.
Dr. Crystal, let's remind the audience how we define live forever-ish.
Well, living forever-ish is defined as being stronger in your later years. I always say being able to pick yourself up if you fall down, being able to play with your grandchildren, being able to actually live after you retire.
Yeah, I know.
Right? We save up all of this money into our
we can't do
retirement.
nothing.
And we are not well when it's time to retire.
Yeah, for sure. That's living forever-ish. Strong, vibrant, energetic, all that kind of good stuff. And maybe a few more years. That's kind of nice, too.
Yes.
There's some longevity to this, right? Okay. All right, so we're going to talk about 3 things you want to do and 1 thing you don't want to do. So let's get started with number 1. This isn't in. This is what you want to do. And it has to do with whey protein and blood glucose.
Yes. So when you think about whey protein, most people think about being in the gym, gains.
Like you.
Right.
You probably had your protein shake this morning doing your whatever at 6 a.m.
Yes, I usually try to focus on at least 30 grams first thing in the morning to jumpstart muscle synthesis.
30 grams?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
A good amount. But now we're looking at whey protein and blood glucose.
Yeah.
In this study.
I wonder, so just without, like, don't get into the study yet, right?
Yeah.
Like, just what do you think, how does increasing protein affect my blood sugar in a positive way? And is it also related to the timing of the protein intake? What do you think? Like, just what's your thought as a nutritionist? Like,
Well, as a nutritionist, we understand that, or in our profession, we understand that protein can have a satiating effect in the body. So whenever you have protein with your meals, it helps you to not eat as much.
Okay.
And it can also help to prevent the snacking. Like if you have carbs, your blood sugar increases and then decreases, and then you get hungry again. Protein usually can help you hold off and not snack as much.
Yeah. Well, because protein is out of the 3 major macro molecules, right?
Yeah.
It's the most filling.
Right.
Okay. So you think it's more just related to you're feeling full more, you're not reaching for the carb as much.
Yeah.
It's lasting, so there's less snacking. That's kind of what your thought was.
And then ultimately that leads to better glucose control.
The only reason I brought up the timing thing, because years ago there was some research looking at having diabetics for a snack at night do protein.
Wow, I've seen that, Dr. Mike.
Yeah. And I can't remember the details, but I remember something about the timing of protein kind of played a role as well.
I know that it helps people who tend to get up and have midnight snacks.
Which is quite a lot of people.
Yeah, there's the idea that sometimes the blood sugar drops
Yeah.
over the night, and
Yeah.
then you wake up and then you want a snack.
Yeah. I saw this funny video once of this grandma. She was caught like at midnight in the fridge, and her daughter was like filming her and goes, "What are you doing?" And she just screamed and dropped everything she had in her hand. And she looks at the camera, she goes, "I was hungry."
Poor grandma.
So maybe get her some
let
protein.
Grandma have a midnight snack. You earned it, Grandma.
So let's look at this study. This is one of these crossover studies, right, that we like. So you got people on one side being tested, and then they cross over to the other arm.
Yes.
Those are pretty decent studies. And it looks like this was a drink.
It was, but it's something special about this drink.
All right, tell me about it.
It was a whey protein shot. When I read that, I was like, oh, this is genius. Because the whole idea when we look at what they were trying to evaluate is can drinking this whey protein shot help with the postprandial glucose effect.
Okay.
Like the spikes that you have after your meal. And people were still able, if it's just a shot, right? This is not a large volume of liquid.
Right.
So I think it controls people who may get full faster than others because there's not as much going in. You see what I'm saying? So
maybe what they're saying is by doing a shot, which was 15 grams, right?
Yes.
And because it's not so much, it takes away that variable of, for some people, if you drink a normal like glass, some people are just going to be full and they're not eating it. So they kind of took that out by doing the shot. Yeah, that's pretty smart.
I like that because I said, man, I need to figure out how I can make a whey protein shot because I have a hard time getting through my protein shakes because it's just too much.
Here you go.
So we have it.
Figure it out. So 15 gram of protein shot, right? Now they did this before about 10 minutes before each big meal.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Right. And they did this for a couple of weeks, right? And then they crossed over.
Right. And the other thing that some people may look at this as kind of not really a good thing in the study, but I like that the people were free living, meaning that they
free range people
that they just kind of ate their normal diet.
Well, because that makes sense though. When this is a good study design, I think, right? Because it's a real world study thing, right?
Yes.
Sometimes when you get in these dietary, even good ones, randomized controlled trials looking at dietary things, when you look at the methodology, it's not real. Like it's over controlled.
Right, and then you can't really apply it to
because no one follows that.
Exactly.
Life, right?
So I say, oh, you know what? I don't care what anyone says to me. That was a good design. Everyone in the study was diabetic.
Yeah, which is good too. So we're really looking at intervention here.
Yes, and they're diabetic. Their A1C on average was 7.4, so a little higher.
Yeah,
they're not really controlling it that well.
Yeah, and it looks like none of these people were on insulin yet either, but they could have been maybe on some oral medication. We don't see that here. So what at the end of the day, what happened?
Oh, wait, one other piece, Dr. Mike. They used a continuous glucose monitoring.
Even better
strategy. Yeah, I said check. We like the checks.
I'm glad to see them using that kind of, and they should. Right? I mean, we can't. That gives you so much more confidence,
right?
In the results.
It allowed the researchers to kind of see, and when we talk about the results, they were looking at the percentage of time spent above what would be considered the normal range, the percentage of time spent in a normal glucose range, and then the percentage of time below what would be considered normal. And the researchers found that the week that they had the shot before each meal, there was an increase in 2 hours throughout that day where they were in the normal range. Now,
that could be significant.
I think so. That's 2 hours that your proteins aren't being glycated.
Yeah, and we're not talking about anything fancier. It's protein, whey protein, right? Good for you at the end of the day, right?
Yes.
So I think this is fantastic. So if you're somebody who, we always say this. We always say if you're somebody who's pre-diabetic or you're diabetic, you might want to consider these shots. Everybody might want to consider these shots.
Exactly.
Sugar is it is saturated our world.
That's right. So, and you think about more than just blood sugar. Elevated blood sugar turns into fat as well.
And the 15 grams, that's a pretty good, so at the end of that's 15 times 3 was their, plus they're getting protein from other sources. So that
exactly,
was
with that meal.
Yeah.
So
okay. All right, so there you go. There's whey protein and sugar management. Looks pretty good. All right, number 2, this is something else you want to consider. And this is, we're talking about a lot of nutrition stuff here, this podcast. Glucomannan fiber, sometimes or I don't want to say sometimes known as, otherwise known as konjac, right?
Yeah, konjac root, which is, I guess it's a kind of yam.
Plant something, I don't know, but I do know about it because
you do.
There's noodles that are made out of, because it's been over 6 months that I've been following the keto lifestyle.
Wow.
And so I have these konjac noodles. And listen, it's not noodles.
Okay,
but
yes.
it's not bad. It kind of satisfies that. But at the end of the day, it's good fiber for me.
Yes.
So tell us why. Now, is glucomannan a part of konjac, or is glucomannan konjac? I guess maybe that's the first.
No, it's a fiber that comes from the
that plant.
konjac,
Gotcha.
right?
Okay.
So you can get fiber from many things: whole grains, beans, nuts, seeds, and so the konjac root provides the type of fiber known as glucomannan, which is a soluble fiber, high affinity for water, a high viscosity in the GI tract.
Elephant yam. That's what you got. Is that right? Elephant yam, that's konjac, and then from that we get glucomannan. Now I think we've talked about glucomannan before, and maybe not as its own topic, but I think we've talked about it as its role maybe in cardiovascular health, right? Haven't we?
Well, I don't know if we specifically have focused on glucomannan, because most people, when we talk about fiber, I know I talk about food, but as a supplement, I think most people are familiar with psyllium. That's what you find in most of your fiber supplements.
Yeah, psyllium
husk.
Yeah. And you can powder that out, and that's where you get the powder, and you can make,
Right, but glucomannan is one that the FDA recently, 2020, this is 2023 right now, but the FDA, that's recent enough, allowed for dietary supplement manufacturers can now list glucomannan as fiber on the label.
Like by itself. It could be listed by itself. Yeah. Speaking of you talk about fiber a lot. You do. We should talk about it, because what do we have here? The Department of Agriculture found that a whopping 95% of Americans don't consume the daily recommended amount of fiber.
It's not shocking.
We're not even 95%. And I bet if you look at the actual average amount, we're so far off. I mean, what is it for, let's see, we have it here, right? For 25 grams for women, 38 grams for men, right? And I guess that changes a little bit as you get older, but let's just keep with those. Come on. We're not even, most men are probably around 10.
Well, yes, because we're not eating the fruit, the vegetables. We're focusing on fruit juice. There's some fiber there versus the whole fruit. And we aren't eating the whole grains. I think that's it. And of course, the beans. We avoid the beans because of the gas.
I don't.
I can attest to that. But it's the fiber foods. It's just not something that is prevalent in the standard American diet. You look at your average breakfast, how much fiber are you getting?
It's all stripped away.
It's very challenging.
Yeah.
And so people do turn to fiber supplements to fill that gap.
And that's good.
And it's nice to see there's a new kid on the block.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about the new kid, right? So this is glucomannan. It's soluble fiber right there. So that insoluble versus soluble, which give us your quick Dr. Crystal rundown on that.
Yeah, the soluble fiber is the type of fiber that can kind of, absorb the water. It has that affinity to the water, so it's more of a bulking type of fiber. We know that it can help with satiety. It helps. Also, I guess the biggest thing that I like about soluble fiber is that it can act as a prebiotic.
Oh, yeah.
So food for the good bacteria.
Yeah, very good.
And so a lot of the health benefits we see from fiber really is coming from the activity of the bacteria when it's consuming that soluble fiber and some of the byproducts.
Yeah, and the end result of increasing soluble fiber intake, better lipid profiles, cholesterol, triglycerides, better blood glucose, even associated with better body weight, immune function.
That's right.
And just better intestinal function overall,
Yes. Now, and just to quickly touch on the insoluble fiber, that's usually the outer covering of of your vegetables and that you typically
Yeah.
would take off.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I've told you this before. I love peanuts, and sometimes I eat the shell.
Oh my goodness.
And that's
insoluble.
And it's not even. It's actually. I can't remember how they list it. It's something. It's like what was the word? It basically is like harsh fiber. Like it was some crazy.
Yes.
But yeah, it's basically nothing but like my body's not. It's just running right through me.
That's it. So it helps with really great bowel movements, bulking up the stools.
Yeah, buddy.
So I like, you want a combination of both, really, ideally.
Yeah. Get your insoluble. Don't eat the peanut shells.
Don't eat the peanut shells, but eat the bran. Like if you like cereal, find a cereal where it's just 100% bran.
Yeah. Oh,
That's going to give you amazing bowel movements.
yeah. Oh, yeah. And not much flavor or taste or fun out of life.
You'll be as light as a kite.
So so back to glucomannan, for heart issues, heart health, 3 grams a day versus up to 9 grams a day of the psyllium, right? So you're talking about we're using less.
That's what's nice about glucomannan. You can still get those health benefits with less.
With less. Digestive health, 3 to 5 grams, glucose 2 grams, and these are just averages, right? We're not don't be stuck by these too much. Prebiotic, 3 to 4 grams. It looks like 4 gramish is probably a great place to be.
That's a good place to be, and of course for satiety and weight management.
Yeah. All right, there you go. I like that. Glucomannan, konjac, elephant yam, noodles.
Yeah,
my special noodles.
If you see that on the label, it's a good thing. I
Yeah.
know that the name sounds complicated.
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
What's this? No, it's a good thing. All right, number 3. In number 3, this one I like a lot because it talks about something we talk about a lot, which is strength training. But now it's connected to managing high blood pressure. That's very interesting to me.
I think it's interesting because when you think about, you go to the doctor and you have high blood pressure. Doc says, well, you need to start working out. They don't really give you
Nothing.
guidance.
Eat better and work out. Bye.
What does that mean? We know that physical exercise can help, but to really narrow it down to strength training, and in this study, the takeaway is how much.
Yeah.
How often, what number of, should you go heavy? Should you go light?
What is it? Like,
more
let's be
reps.
more specific.
It gives you a little bit more.
So doctors at least could say with this report, right? They could at least say, all right, you have high blood pressure, all right? We're gonna start with a low dose drug, right? And we're gonna couple that with strength training, not just exercise, strength training.
Strength training, and we can just get straight to it. Strength training at about 20 reps. So meaning if you are doing bicep curls, by the time you get to rep 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, by 20 you should be
the last couple you're like you don't want to do them.
Exactly. And so that kind of gives you kind of an idea of how heavy or how light. At least 2 times a week.
Well, wait. So there might be a trial error time period here where let me try this amount of weight. Let me try 15 pounds, but you only get 10 in. Like, okay, wait. That tells you, okay, maybe I need to be at 10.
Right.
So you play around with it.
Exactly, and I like that because oftentimes you'll see people and they think that they have to go in and they need these super heavy weights, and by rep 8 you should be and then you're suffering for the next 3 days.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I used to do the resistant bands for this. Remember that?
Oh yes.
And the bands they apparently have weight to them, right? There's like a 10-pound band. There's and I remember starting off with a 20-pound because I was younger, I could easily do 20 like curls like crazy. I was like, okay, I'm not young anymore. I could barely get 5 out of that, so I had to go to the 10. But that was better for me, and I still I got more defined. I didn't need to do that heavy craziness.
Yeah.
So you would now when you think of strength training, would you just focus maybe on the major muscle groups, shoulders, bicep, tricep, chest, some legs, or should you maybe just kind of do a circuit with it all, or?
You can do a circuit with it all. It all depends on how many days per week you want to do it. Because, 20 reps and you do maybe 3 sets of 20 reps, it's going to take a lot of time. So you do find that some people kind of isolate the legs,
arms,
chest day, back day.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just figure out how to do the amount of reps is what's key here, more than the actual
key.
weight.
It's really, and when I say the reps, it means just really what is the load to intensity that you're working with. And in this study, just know that this was a systematic review.
Right.
So they
it looks like 14 trials. They were
14 trials that looked at the effects of strength training for 8 weeks with a total of 253 adults. So
with high blood pressure.
With high blood pressure. And so this is kind of looking at all of those studies and all of the different types of strength training. Yeah. They were able to narrow it down to kind of these specific parameters that we're going over. That
and at the end of the day, there was just better vasodilation, better nitric oxide synthesis, better blood flow overall. I think that nitric oxide, which we've done shows on, right?
Yes.
Was that the molecule of the year?
Yes.
Was it nitric oxide like in 19?
You remember?
Or 2000 and something nitric, and it should be, right? That's probably where a lot of this is coming from.
I think so, for sure.
I mean, that's endothelial health, that's vascular health, better blood pressure. So there you go. Do some strength training, right?
Get in there. It's more than just cardio.
Yeah, and it's time for, listen, my fellow MDs. If you're a general practitioner, internist, whatever. I mean, don't just say exercise. Give them something a little more specific here.
Yes.
All right. There's the 3 ins. Now we got to talk about what's not in, right, for living forever-ish. And this is something I deal with because of my allergies.
Oh.
Do you know that?
No, I didn't know.
I told you my allergies always affect kind of my eyes to my ears, like right in the nose. But I never feel, I don't get headaches and stuff. I just get here. Ugh. Dry eyes.
I thought your eyes water.
They do. They water, and they also dry out and itch. You got to get the whole thing. It's weird. Yeah, I know. Well, you've seen me when we do makeup in water, but normally it's the dry eye stuff.
Okay.
Itchy eye, dry eye constantly.
Well, I have something for you.
Oh, yeah, let's hear about it.
Omega-3.
Oh, yeah. which I do a lot of.
You do?
I do. Well, I don't do it.
Wait a minute. You always say, listen, Dr. Mike always says, I do a lot. And then when I ask him, how much? Just two soft Joes. When the instructions say to take 4.
But I eat fish. I eat a lot of fish. I eat a lot of oily fish. I do. Anchovies.
Maybe you need a little bit more, considering your allergies.
You're right. I should probably, because I've been doing 2 for years and years. Just up it. Yeah. I'm just going to do it.
Just do it, Dr. Mike.
I'm just going to do it.
With a meal.
Well, of course. I always do that. Okay. Yeah, I'm good at that. All right. So omega-3s for dry eyes. The question is, are they effective or ineffective? Like, just what? Give us the quick answer. Effective or ineffective?
Very effective.
Which is why we're talking about it.
I know. Now, the people in this study, they are people who had symptomatic reactions to staring at computer screens. It's called visual display terminal users.
That sounds horrible.
So it's people who are dealing with dry eyes, eye strain, tired eyes, irritation, burning, redness, all because
of screen stuff. So this is screen stuff related.
Right.
Yeah, because with the allergy stuff, you still got to treat the allergy a little bit as well.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Okay. All right. So we're talking about people. Well, this is everybody today. Wait, this is visual display terminal users is humans.
That's it. And I wonder if people probably, they don't even realize, like if their eyes are kind of itchy or their eyes are kind of dry, it's maybe
tell you
just need to look away.
I've noticed before when we're in the office, like watch people as the day progresses. They do. They're like this. You see them doing this.
They're just rubbing their eyes.
If you're watching on YouTube, you can see me, but I'm rubbing
eyes.
my eyes if you're on where you get your podcast from. Yeah. And then once you start rubbing your eyes, you can't stop. Oh. See, now I want to keep rubbing my eyes.
Yes. Well, I'll just give you my experience. I have dry eyes only when I'm wearing contacts. That my contacts now, by the end of the day, they just feel they're just super dry. So
let's get to so when it comes to omega-3s, it looks like it was pretty. How they broke this down here? We got you got the omega-3 group versus placebo.
But guess what the placebo was? Olive oil. So I said, they call this a placebo?
I mean, you're getting good oils there, and some of them are the omega-3s, but not as much as going to be just in that concentrated fish oil, right? So there's probably a better neutral oil they could have used, maybe
potentially, but the reality is the omega-3 still was the shining star in the study. So doses, and you can kind of think about your dose, Dr. Mike. Total 1,440 milligrams of EPA and 960 milligrams of DHA.
I've never calculated my two soft gels.
You're not at that. I can tell you now.
I'm going to do it.
So that was 4 soft gels twice daily to give you that amount. Then
versus the placebo, which is a questionable, but whatever. But what I like here is they measured something here. They didn't just. It wasn't just subjective. They actually looked at the amount of omegas in their blood system.
They did. They used the omega index, which is a measure of EPA and DHA of the EPA DHA ratio in the red blood cell membrane.
And at the end of the day, here, taking the fish oil increased that omega-3 index because most of them were low, right?
That is,
in omega-3 when they started.
And I think that matches the population.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
And then they started taking it. It increases pretty significantly, and things got better.
Boom.
Things got better, and there were no changes for the olive oil.
And I can tell you, just as a case study, that when I take my fish oil, like I'm consistent every day and take it, I don't have problems with my contacts. Yeah. Now, I know that wasn't the context of this study, but that's just my personal experience.
Good news, it's not just about your eyes.
Oh, yes, that part.
I mean, you're talking about really a whole body benefit with fish oil, right? I mean, it's one of the foundational nutrients that I teach.
Absolutely.
Good
brain health,
a
joint
good multivitamin,
health.
A good fish oil, a good probiotic. I mean, those are like, come on.
You can't miss it.
Yeah.
Up the dose. If you're wondering how much to take, if you're taking too much, test it. The omega index.
Test it. Omegas are my foundational nutrient, and I don't take enough.
I know, but maybe you are, Dr. Mike. I give you a hard time.
No,
but
maybe. I think we, Life Extension does a really good job. That's who I use, our sponsor, right? They do a really good job of studying those doses.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That suggestion is there because they know the science behind that dose.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm only doing half. All right. Yeah. Get your fish oil going. Great for everything, and may even help your dry eyes. There's your in and outs for living foreverish.
Yes.
Yes. You got the whey protein and blood glucose, right? Glucomannan fiber. Strength training for anything really good, but here managing hypertension. And then if you got dry eyes, we don't want that. That's not that. If you have dry eyes, that's not fun. You try to play golf or do something and you can't see and your eyes are hurting. Omega-3s. There's your in and outs, right?
Yes.
Living foreverish. Hey, don't forget you could go to liveforeverish.com. We call it the 1-2 punch. Give us your email. That's good. Give us your email, and you can join the family, get some newsletters from our sponsor, Life Extension. Great stuff, by the way. It's all good education stuff.
Right.
It's really good. And then you can subscribe, liveforeverish.com. And when you're there, you might as well listen to more podcasts.
Yes.
Download them, like them, share them.
We're almost at the 400
We're
mark.
almost at the 400 episode mark. Hard to believe, man. Woo! That's liveforeverish.com. I'm Dr. Mike, and that's Dr. Crystal. Thanks for listening.